Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, today we're continuing from Surah Kaf. We're still on Juz 15, and we are up to verse 27. نبدأ أستاذ صادق. Okay, should I start reading? All right, inshallah. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'una wa anfa'na ma 'allamtana wa zidna ilma. Advice to the Prophet: recite what has been revealed to you from the book of your Lord. None can change his words, nor can you find any refuge besides him. And patiently stick with those who call upon their Lord morning and evening, seeking his pleasure. Do not let your eyes look beyond them, desiring the luxuries of this worldly life. And do not obey those whose hearts we have made heedless of our remembrance, who follow only their desires and whose state is total loss. Warning to the disbelievers. And say, O Prophet, this is the truth from your Lord. Whoever wills, let them believe, and whoever wills, let them disbelieve. Surely we have prepared for the wrongdoers a fire whose walls will completely surround them. When they cry for aid, they will be aided with water like molten metal, which will burn their faces. What a horrible drink, and what a terrible place to rest.
This verse is often quoted in the Muslim world. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Sort of whoever wishes, let him believe. Whoever wishes, let him disbelieve. It's like the verse like La ikraha fi din, as if there's freedom in religion, which is the case, of course. But from an otherworldly perspective, obviously, the Quran says, surely we're prepared for the wrongdoers of fire.
Okay, reward of the believers. As for those who believe and do good, we certainly never deny the reward of those who are best in deeds. It is they who will have the gardens of eternity with rivers flowing under their feet. There they will be adorned with bracelets of gold and wear green garments of fine silk and rich brocade, reclining there on canopied couches. What a marvelous reward, and what a fabulous place to rest. Story 2, the owner of the two gardens. So we covered the first story, the people of the cave. Now we're on to the owner of the two gardens. Give them, O Prophet, an example of two men. To the disbelieving one, we gave two gardens of grapevines, which we surrounded with palm trees and placed various crops in between. Each garden yielded all its produce, never falling short, and we caused a river to flow between them. And he had other resources as well. So he boasted to a poor companion of his while conversing with him, I am greater than you in wealth and superior in manpower. And he entered his property while wronging his soul, saying, I do not think this will ever perish, nor do I think the hour will ever come. And if in fact I am returned to my Lord, I will definitely get a far better outcome than all this. The rebuttal. His believing companion replied, while conversing with him, do you disbelieve in the one who created you from dust, then developed you from a sperm drop, then formed you into a man? But as for me, he is Allah, my Lord, and I will never associate anyone with my Lord in worship. If only you had said upon entering your property, this is what Allah has willed. There's no power except with Allah. Even though you see me inferior to you in wealth and offspring, perhaps my Lord will grant me something better than your garden and send down upon your garden a thunderbolt from the sky, turning it into a barren waste, or its water may sink into the earth, and then you will never be able to seek it out.
First companion, the disbelieving one. When we look at our belief in the hereafter, we have to compare it. It's the Quran is condemning his attitude, but he's not fully ruling out the hereafter. He's saying, if If it does come, I'll probably be given better than this. Sometimes we have to check that we make sure we don't have the same attitude to the hereafter. But yeah, if it does exist, inshallah, I'll be in a better place. We have to see what our lisan hal is saying. It doesn't. I don't know. I didn't hear. I didn't notice where it says he committing shirk. But the companion says, "As for me, I do not commit shirk."
No. Do you disbelieve in the one who created you from the dust? Yeah. And then, okay. The punishment. And so all his produce was totally ruined, so he started to wring his hands for all he had spent on it, while it had collapsed on its trellises. He cried, Alas, I wish I had never associated anyone with my Lord in worship. And he had no manpower to help him against Allah, nor could he even help himself. At this time, support comes only from Allah, the true Lord. He is the best in reward and best in outcome. Fleeting and everlasting gains, and give them a parable of this worldly life. It is like the plants of the earth thriving when sustained by the rain we send down from the sky. Then they soon turn into chaff scattered by the wind, and Allah is fully capable of doing all things. Wealth and children are the adornment of this worldly life, but the everlasting good deeds are far better with your Lord in reward and in hope.
According to some narrations, وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتِ are particular phrases like Subhanallah, arts he mentioned.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allah. But it could also be a bit more general to Allah.
The hadith, I think you had mentioned it earlier, Ustaz Sadiq, the Habibatan ila Rahman, Thaqilatan ala Mizan. How was it? كلمتان خفتان على اللسان ثقلة على الميزان وحبيبتان إلى الرحمن, right? Subhanallah bihamdi, Subhanallah al-Azim. The two words which are easy on the tongue, heavy on the scales, and love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah bihamdi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Yeah. Inshallah. It'll be a good thing to perhaps make a daily dhikr, inshallah. Judgment Day. Beware of the day we will blow the mountains away, and you will see the earth laid bare, and we will gather all humankind, leaving none behind. They will be presented before your Lord in rows, and the deniers will be told, you have surely returned to us all alone as we created you the first time, although you always claimed that we would never appoint a time for your return. And the record of deeds will be laid open, and you will see the wicked in fear of what is written in it. They will cry, woe to us, what kind of record is this that does not leave any sin, small or large, unlisted? They will find whatever they did present before them, and your Lord will never wrong anyone. The descriptions of the judgment day, the hereafter, are very explicit in the Quran. We know Jannah, Jahannam are also in detail explained in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. It's unseen that we may quickly become heedless of. We get reminded so many times in the Quran, almost every page, perhaps every page. It just keeps driving that home, like every time. Satan and his followers. And remember when we said to the angels, prostrate before Adam, so they all did, but not Iblis, who was one of the jinn, but he rebelled against the command of his Lord. Would you then take him and his descendants as patrons instead of me, although they are your enemy? What an evil alternative for the wrongdoers to choose. I never called them to witness the creation of the heavens and the earth, or even their own creation, nor would I take the misleaders as helpers. And beware of the day, he will say, call upon those you claimed were my associate gods. So they will call them, but they will receive no response. And we will make them all share in the same doom. The wicked will see the fire and realize that they are bound to fall into it, and will find no way to avoid it.
In the Quran explicitly says that Satan was a thing made from fire, like a jinn, from the category of jinn. Other verses of the Quran, we may assume that he's from the angels, because it says they're all prostrated, but Iblis. It says the same thing, but it says he was from the jinn. فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي, the word fusuq means to go past the boundaries. Sometimes, normally we mean fasiqeen are those who transgress as sinners, but sometimes it's also to go beyond the boundaries. And usually this verse is given as an example, like he went outside the boundaries of the command of his Lord. Sheikh Noor's got it here. And he flouted the command of his Lord. Allah says, flouted, yeah. I have not made them witness the creation of the heavens and the earth, nor their own creation. So anyone who makes big claims about these things, their words should be taken with a grain of salt, because no one really knows for sure how it all began. We were not made to witness it.
Denying the Quran. We have surely set forth in this Quran every kind of lesson for people, but humankind is the most argumentative of all beings. And nothing prevents people from believing when guidance comes to them, and from seeking their Lord's forgiveness, except they demand to meet the same fate of earlier deniers, or that the torment would confront them face to face. We do not send the messengers except as deliverers of good news and warners, but the disbelievers argue in falsehood, hoping to discredit the truth with it and make a mockery of my revelations and warnings. And who does more wrong than those who, when reminded of their Lord's revelations, turn away from them and forget what their own hands have done? We have certainly cast veils over their hearts, leaving them unable to comprehend this Quran, and deafness in their ears. And if you, O Prophet, invite them to true guidance, they will never be rightly guided. I think some of these verses would sound like, when I personally read, I get scared, like myself, for example, and who does more wrong than those who, when reminded of their Lord's revelations, turn away from them and forget their own hand. But, I don't think we are exempt of this. We could be, may Allah forbid, as we study the Quran, read the Quran, and, we get reminded, we still haven't changed anything in our lives. We continue to act on the same things. I think, and this is mentioned a number of times in the Quran, right, Ustad Sadiq?
Which bit?
Those, when they get reminded of their Lord's revelations.
Yeah, they forget it, or they don't.
وَإِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ لَمْ يَخِرُّوا سُجَّدًا Rukkah sujood. How was the verse? When they get reminded of their Lord's verses, they do not go to prostration, or they do not bow, right?
Yeah, you're right. If we don't, it's good to see these verses, how it relates to us. Sometimes we will be missing out a lot on the Quran if we just read this verse and think of these are applying for the kafirs, unbelievers.
Yeah. So it says, yeah, لم يخروا سما وعميانا. It says they become deaf and blind. Right? So they don't, I guess, give attention.
That they don't treat it as if they're deaf or blind.
Mm.
I think it's coming up in Surah Maryam, right? Is that the one?
It's in, I think it was in Surah Al Imran, yeah, towards the end. Yeah. Sorry, Surah Furqan, the last page of Surah Furqan.
Okay.
Allah's forbearance. Your Lord is the all-forgiving, full of mercy. If He were to seize them immediately for what they commit, He would have certainly hastened their punishment, but they have an appointed time from which they will find no refuge. Those are the societies we destroyed when they persisted in wrong, and we had set a time for their destruction.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wishes, He can take people for their injustices straight away, whether it's personal sins or sins against others. Out of His wisdom, He's got this appointed time, and He leaves him this respite till then. Sometimes, as human beings, we can question that. Why isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopping this? Why isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking them to account? But His wisdom has allowed that human beings are given sometimes respite. But that should never make us think that Allah's pleased with what's happening. Because if He would have immediately punished their sins straight away, we read yesterday, if He was to take everyone for their sins, there would be not a single creature left on earth. But there's an appointed time. His wisdom has demanded that. It's part of the wisdom of the creation. And ultimately, the most important thing is what's going to happen in the hereafter. You know, how people are treated with it 50, 60 years in this world is nothing compared to how people are treated with for eternity. Yeah. I say that because sometimes people are like, oh, there's wrong happening. Why isn't Allah interfering? Why isn't Allah? Well, when the wrong is happening, we need to blame those who are committing the wrongs. Allah sent messengers, giving people consciences to not commit those wrongs. Allah no.
And give an agency to people.
An agency, yeah. Otherwise, it's almost like people expecting a full-on, a Jannat-like world in this world. They expect the way they think that the world should be a perfect, like Jannah. There is a world like that. It will be like that, but that's the hereafter. This world is, however, a test world. Because of that, there's free will, and because of that, people will be allowed to do wrongs to themselves and to others, unfortunately.
Okay, so we're moving on to story 3, Moses and Al-Khidr. And remember when Moses said to his young assistant, I will never give up until I reach the junction of the two seas, even if I travel for ages. But when they finally reached the point where the seas met, they forgot their salted fish, and it made its way into the sea, slipping away wondrously. When they had passed further, he said to his assistant, bring us our meal. We have certainly been exhausted by today's journey. He replied, do you remember when we rested by the rock? That is when I forgot the fish. None made me forget to mention this except Satan, and the fish made its way into the sea miraculously. Moses responded, that is exactly what we were looking for. So they returned, retracting their footsteps.
So the fish was already cooked, apparently, and it comes out of the basket, goes into the water in a very miraculous type of way. The tafsirs describe that as it goes into the water, you can see it, and this, it's believed that this young boy that was with him was, I think, Yusha bin Nun, another young prophet. Maybe not a prophet at that time. But here he says Satan made him forget. Maybe that's one of the powers that the Quran sort of attributes to Satan, his ability to make people forget. usually to do with the mental abilities, how they perceive things, remembering things, reciting the Quran, forgetting the Quran. At a psychological level, Satan has been given particular powers, I guess.
The encounter. There they found a servant of ours to whom we had granted mercy from us and enlightened with knowledge of our own. Moses said to him, may I follow you, provided that you teach me some of the right guidance you have been taught. He said, you certainly cannot be patient enough with me. And how can you be patient with what is beyond your realm of knowledge? Moses assured him, you will find me patient, Allah willing, and I will not disobey any of your orders. He responded, then if you follow me, do not question me about anything until I myself clarify it for you.
The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Khidr, this servant, is very abdan min ibadina, a servant from our servants, but it's really, here it says they found a servant of ours. Sheikh Noor says, 65, and they found a great servant of our own servants, whom we had bestowed mercy of prophethood from us. It says mercy of prophethood, and had taught unimaginable inner knowledge from our very self. In ladunna ilman, it's not any type of knowledge, it's from God's presence, and a special mercy as well.
Ilm ladun is an important concept in the Tasawwuf tradition as well, right, Ustaz Sadaq?
Yeah, someone has been granted ilm ladunni.
Yeah.
It's a specific type of knowledge. This is almost like Wahhabi knowledge, God-given knowledge.
Yeah, it's beyond what we see, and the hadith which the Prophet says, one who acts on what he knows, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches him what he doesn't know.
The connection, yeah.
Yeah, I feel there's. And this servant is mentioned here as, could some scholars say that he's a prophet, some say that he was a great saint. Yeah.
The hadith says Musa thought that he was perhaps the most knowledgeable of Allah's servants. And Allah says, no, there's someone more knowledgeable. And he says, I want to meet him. And then that's how the story comes. He's been told to you meet him, go to this place. But what's interesting is the story mentions Musa and the young boy. But once Musa meets Khidr, the story only talks about them two, the young boys, as if he's not in the story. Because then it says, فَانْطَلَقَا, the jewel, them two departed, continued. So the word there is jewel, means the third person was not there. Okay. I really like the thing of Khidr, وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And how can you be patient on what you do not fully grasp? It's a reminder that sometimes a lack of patience could be because of a lack of knowledge of the situation. We as believers, we can be patient on things, not because we know the knowledge of everything, but because we know Allah has knowledge of everything. So if we sort of submit to His knowledge, who knows everything, and have trust, then we can have patience. Otherwise, it's very easy to be a bit frustrated in a situation where you don't know what's happening. Allahu Alam.
The ship incident. So they set out, but after they had boarded the ship, the man made a hole in it. Moses protested, "Have you done this to drown its people? You have certainly done a terrible thing." He replied, "Did I not say that you cannot have patience with me?" Moses pleaded, "Excuse me for forgetting and do not be hard on me." The boy incident. So they proceeded until they came across a boy, and the man killed him. Moses protested, "Have you killed an innocent soul who killed no one? You have certainly done a horrible thing." He answered, "Did I not tell you that you cannot have patience with me?" Moses replied, replied, "If I ever question you about anything after this, then do not keep me in your company, for by then I would have given you enough of an excuse." The wall incident. So they moved on until they came to the people of a town. They asked them for food, but the people refused to give them hospitality. There they found a wall ready to collapse. So the man said it right. Moses protested, "If you wanted, you could have demanded a fee for this." He replied, "This is the parting of our ways. I will explain to you what you could not bear patiently." The ship. As for the ship, it belonged to some poor people working at sea. So I intended to damage it, for there was a tyrant king ahead of them who seizes every good ship by force. And as for the boy, his parents were true believers, and we feared that he would pressure them into defiance and disbelief. So we hoped that the Lord would give them another more virtuous and caring in his place. Another more virtuous and caring in his place. And we feared that he would pressure them into defiance and disbelief. The wall. And as for the wall, it belonged to the two orphan boys in the city, and under the wall was a treasure that belonged to them, and their father had been a righteous man. So your Lord willed that these children should come of age and retrieve their treasure as a mercy from your Lord. I did not do it at all on my own. This is the explanation of what you could not bear patiently.
If you really look at the language, we won't look into it, but any good that comes out of it, we attribute it to Allah. But other than that, he speaks of it from his own angle. The Prophet said, if only Musa was a bit patient, we would have indeed learned a lot more.
The examples are interesting. Like two of them are seemingly evil, and one of them is good. It's good that we're given both sides of, I think, or both faces of actions. You know, the verse, وَعَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَى أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. It may be that something may be displeasing to you, that it is good for you, and vice versa. Allah knows, you do not know. So whether something seems evil or something seems good externally, I remember you mentioned, I think it was two sessions ago, that everything has, we're talking about, I think, the rad at the time, the thunder, etc. Everything is unseen, and I feel in this case as well that applies. The unseen reasons. We see everything externally, but then there's also batin, right, unseen reasons behind everything as well. So I think this story drives that home very clearly.
Yeah, like the two yatims, for example, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. The father is long gone, passed away, but because he's righteous, you know, that's all in the unseen world. But in that unseen world, perhaps when he was living, he made du'as for his sons. And, you know, father's du'as are, you know, mustajab, accepted. So that whole unseen realm was playing out and protecting his sons. There's a lot of other interpretations of the stories, like, you know, sometimes things should be appearing as defected so that it doesn't get taken by tyrants. So sometimes acting a bit humbly, let's say if we do projects, not show it off as too amazing so it doesn't displease others. People have taken other meanings from these stories.
Mm-hmm. It's a very nice story. Yeah. Story 4, Dhul-Qarnayn. They ask you, a prophet, about Dhul-Qarnayn. Say, I will relate to you something of his narrative. Surely we established him in the land and gave him the means to all things. So he traveled a course until he reached the setting point of the sun, which appeared to him to be setting in a spring of murky water, where he found some people. we said, O Dhul Qarnayn, either punish them or treat them kindly. He responded, whoever does wrong will be punished by us, then will be returned to their Lord, who will punish them with a horrible torment. And as for those who believe and do good, they will have the finest reward, and we will assign them easy commands. Again, I think something we talked about, Ustad Sadaq, how people, disbelievers, they have the disgrace of this world and the next. Like this, I think you mentioned this, right? There's punishment like twice when it talks about the disbelievers. I think that's another example of it here. Journey to the east. Then he traveled a different course until he reached the rising point of the sun. He found it rising on a people for whom we had provided no shelter from it. So he was, and we truly had full knowledge of him. Another journey. Then he traveled a third course until he reached a pass between two mountains. He found in front of them a people who could hardly understand his language. They pleaded, O Dhul Qarnayn, surely Gog and Magog are spreading corruption throughout the land. Should we pay you tribute, provided that you build a wall between us and them? He responded, what my Lord has provided for me is far better, but assist me with resources, and I will build a barrier between you and them. Bring me blocks of iron. Then when he had filled up the gap between the two mountains, he ordered, blow. When the iron became red hot, he said, bring me molten copper to pour over it. And so the enemies could neither scale nor tunnel through it. He declared, this is a mercy from my Lord, but when the promise of my Lord comes to pass, he will level it to the ground, and my Lord's promise is ever true. On that day, we will let them surge like waves over one another. Later, the trumpet will be blown, and we will gather all people together.
So he goes to the west first, then he goes to the east.
Mm.
The west being more educated. Allahu Alam. Some of the tafsirs have said he could have been Alexander the Great, but that view is really frowned upon due to what we know or what's been reported about Alexander the Great.
Mm.
So this person is almost like one of those three figures, like you said before, like Khadir, Luqman alayhi salam, and Dhul Qarnayn in the Quran. Their prophethood is not established, but they're almost like prophet-like figures. And the incident of Yajuj and Majuj.
Okay. The wicked on Judgment Day. On that day, we will display hell clearly for the disbelievers, those who turned a blind eye to my reminder and could not stand listening to it. Do the disbelievers think they can simply take my servants as lords instead of me? We have surely prepared hell as an accommodation for the disbelievers. The losers. Say, O Prophet, shall we inform you of who will lose the most deeds? They are those whose efforts are in vain in this worldly life while they think they are doing good. It is they who reject the signs of their Lord and their meeting with him, rendering their deeds void. So we will not give their deeds any weight on Judgment Day. That is their reward, hell. That is their reward, hell, for their disbelief and mockery of my signs and messengers.
Perhaps one of the most scariest verses of the Quran. Those whose actions have gone astray in this world, yet they think they're doing good deeds.
Yeah, I mean, the following verse gives you a bit of a relief, Ustad Sadiq. I mean, gives me a bit of relief, inshallah. I do personally get scared as well when I read this verse. But inshallah, I say to myself, I don't reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's signs, inshallah. The hereafter, meeting him, even though I may become heedless of it at times. But it's always, I think, good to remember, especially those who are, let's say, doing Islamic activism, Islamic service, or like, may Allah protect us from falling into this pit.
Yeah, inshallah. You're working to revive these things, so it's definitely not that. But فَحَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ. Yeah, the niyyah has to be in those actions, and then we'll have, inshallah, not this consequence. But it's just a reminder that we should all sometimes check ourselves. We could be thinking we're doing something good, but it could be not good. So we have to ultimately be fearful of that. If we don't get fearful at all of a verse like this, then that's a bit concerning.
Inshallah. The winners. Indeed, those who believe and do good will have the gardens of paradise as an accommodation where they will be forever, never desiring anywhere else. Recording Allah's knowledge. Say, O Prophet, if the ocean were ink for writing the words of my Lord, it would certainly run out before the words of my Lord were finished, even if we refilled it with its equal. This verse is a bit of a tongue twister, in Arabic. Have faith and do good. Say, O Prophet, I'm only a man like you, but it has been revealed to me that your God is only one God. So whoever hopes for the meeting with their Lord, let them do good deeds and associate none in worship of their Lord.
So whoever looks forward to my meeting, then let him do good deeds, and let him really purify his intentions, and do not mix with the worship of his Lord anyone, which is really what the definition of ikhlas is. Keep it purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. May Allah give us tawfiq to do that. Some of the scholars had mentioned this Yajuj and Majuj to being the Mongol Turks in the Mongol invasion. Perhaps you couldn't blame them because they saw them coming and just destroying from the left and the right. But everyone speaks, but based on the realities of their times, maybe they were mistaken. Allahu Alam. Do you want me to help you, Ustaz Ahmed? Maybe I'll read a bit.
Yeah. I was just going to mention before we move on to the next surah, Ustaz Sadiq, what you said was really nice about this is the definition of sincerity. This part, whoever hopes for the meeting with their Lord, let them do good deeds. I think it ties in nicely to also what you said up here about checking our intention when we are doing these seemingly good deeds. So it's almost like an answer.
Yeah, it connects to that. You're right. Yeah. A friend of mine studied Azhar, and he said words that we think mean like ikhlas, we say it means sincerity. It does, but technically the Quranic usage of that word is to make sure there's no other shirk in an action, which is like sincerity, but it's good to know what the exact Quranic usage of it is. All right, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're reading slightly more than a juz today, right?
Yeah, so we're 5 pages behind Ustaz Sadiq.
Yeah, yesterday we had a guest speaker. Maryam alayha salam, Mary. This Meccan surah recounts the miraculous stories of the birth of Jesus by the Virgin Mary, after whom the surah is named, and the birth of John the Baptist to old Zechariah, and his elderly barren wife. Other prophets are cited as recipients of Allah's favor and grace. Attributing children to Allah and denial of resurrection are rejected as outrageous and blasphemous. Both the end of this surah and the beginning of the next one talk about the purpose of revealing the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Zachariah's prayer. Kaf ha ya ayn sad. This is a reminder of your Lord's mercy to his servant Zachariah. When he cried out to his Lord privately, saying, My Lord, Surely my bones have become brittle, and grey hair has spread across my head. But I have never been disappointed in my prayer to you, my Lord. And I'm concerned about the faith of my relatives after me, since my wife is barren. So grant me by your grace an heir who will inherit prophethood from me and the family of Jacob, and make him, O Lord, pleasing to you. Number 5. And verily I fear my kin who shall take my place the moment I am gone. Dr. Mustafa Khattab is interpreted as I'm worried for their faith,
Yeah.
but uh, Allah Alam, yeah. Perhaps it is something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I've read that before as well, Ustad Sadiq. They ask the prophets when they ask for, I mean, it could be seem like a worldly thing, asking for children, but it's really related to the hereafter, which is, for people, they want a generation to guide others after them.
Yeah, but if he's from a family of priests and there's all these priests, it just showed that all that priesthood wasn't, he saw no hope in them. The grayness of the head, I like how this Quran beheld says, and the head is kindled ablaze with whiteness. It's really elderly in age. The Arabic is very nice. It's a bit وَاشْتَعْلَ الرَّأْسُ شَيْبًا. It's like the head has literally been lit, like a fire is lit with whiteness. Um, and I've never been disappointed in your du'as, has been translated, nor have I ever been in calling you, my Lord, disappointed. Okay, prayer answered. Oh, the angels announced, O Zechariah, indeed we give you the good news of the birth of a son whose name will be John, a name we have not given to anyone before. So Isa's name was also given Al-Masih, the Quran says Ismuhum, and Yahya's name, but here it says a name we had not given to anyone before. He wondered, my Lord, how can I have a son when my wife is barren and I have become extremely old? An angel replied, so will it be. Your Lord says, it is easy for me, just as I created you before when you were nothing. You scroll down to Zechariah said, my Lord, grant me a sign. He responded, your sign is that you will not be able to speak to people for 3 nights, despite being healthy. So he came out to his people from the sanctuary, signaling to them to glorify Allah morning and evening. There's a lot of nice interpretation that Dr. Mustafa Khattab has put, like the fact that he will not be able to speak. The verse could mean you either will not speak or will not be able to speak. I personally like this translation because it shows that it was more of a miracle. Quran beheld says the same thing. You should be unable to speak. John's noble qualities. It was later said, O John, hold firmly to the scriptures. And we granted him wisdom while he was still a child, as well as purity and compassion from us. And he was God-fearing and kind to his parents. He was neither arrogant nor disobedient. Peace be upon him the day he was born, and the day of his death, and the day he'll be raised back to life. So scholars mention that Yahya Alayhi's story is first mentioned, and his miraculous coming, his mom becoming like pregnant with him before Isa alayhi salam's, just to show that a miraculous way of coming to the world doesn't make anyone divine. Jibrail visits Mary and mention in the book, O Prophet, the story of Mary when she withdrew from her family to a place in the east. Screening herself off from them, then we sent to her our angel, Gabriel, appearing before her as a man perfectly formed. She appealed, I truly seek refuge in the most compassionate from you. So leave me alone if you are God-fearing. He responded, I am only a messenger from your Lord, sent to bless you with a pure son. She wondered, how can I have a son when no man has ever touched me, nor am I unchaste? He replied, so will it be, your Lord says, it is easy for me, and so will we make him a sign for humanity and a mercy from us. It is a matter already decreed. Tamathala, like the angels, they take the form of a human being. We know Jibril alayhi salam came in the form of the companion Dihya. Very unique test to go through for a righteous, pious, chaste woman like Maryam alayhi salam, living totally in the temple, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She particularly mentions, I seek refuge from in Ar-Rahman from you. أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. Let's continue. Jesus' virgin birth. So she conceived him and withdrew with him to a remote place. Then the pains of labor drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. She cried, alas, I wish I had died before this, and was a thing long forgotten. So a voice reassured her from below her, do not grieve, your Lord has provided a stream at your feet, and shake the trunk of this palm tree towards you. It will drop fresh, ripe dates upon you. So eat and drink and put your heart at ease. But if you see any of the people, say, I have vowed silence to the most compassionate, so I'm not talking to anyone today. Both similarities with, in one way, with Zakaria alayhi salam's story, this not speaking. Her one seems to be she's told to do it willfully. Okay. Reaction to baby Jesus.
I'm just going to mention Ustad Sadiq, like, I guess, Surah Maryam. You know, this is obviously the story of Zakaria alayhi salam and then Maryam alayhi salam being told. But it just flows really nicely, like how the verses end. We see this quite frequently in the Quran, but especially I think with Surah Maryam, you know, each verse finishing with a shadda, like there's emphasis, and it's a really nice flow. I think this surah.
It gives the surah a special sound to it and a special taste.
Yeah, like you talked about, I guess the inner music of the verses, right? I was actually thinking about that since then, and Allahu Alam, but there could be something related here as well. I'm not too sure, but yeah.
Some have said that because she was given dates, mothers who go through childbirth, they also recommended to have dates. It could help them. Then she returned to her people carrying him. They said in shock, O Mary, you have certainly done a horrible thing. O sister of Aaron. So Ahmed, if you slightly Scroll down. Your father was not an indecent man, nor was your mother unchaste. So she pointed to the baby. They exclaimed, how can we talk to someone who is an infant in the cradle? Your mother was not unchaste. I think Arabic is sometimes even sounds worse than that.
Mm.
Quran Behel has it as no, sorry. Yeah. Nor your mother ever a harlot. Baby Jesus talks. You would expect a different reaction. Like, oh man, okay, you could be shocked, but where did this come from? Like, uh, tell us a story. What's happened? We didn't expect this from you. You've always been such a righteous, chaste woman. But baby Jesus talks. Jesus declared, I'm truly a servant of Allah. He has destined me to be given the scripture and to be a prophet. He has made me a blessing wherever I go and bid me to establish prayer and give alms tax as long as I live, and to be kind to my mother. He has not made me arrogant or defiant. Peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I die, and the day I'll be raised back to life. The first thing he says is he speaks, Inni Abdullah. Christians and Jews differ on Jesus. That is Jesus, son of Mary, and this is the word of truth about which they dispute. It is not for Allah to take a son. Glory be to Him. When He decrees a matter, He simply tells it be, and it is. Jesus also declared, surely Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship Him alone. This is the straight path. Yet their various groups have differed among themselves about Him. So woe to the disbelievers when they face a tremendous day. How clearly will they hear and see on the day they will come to us, but today the wrongdoers are clearly astray. Warning to the disbelievers, and warn them, O Prophet, of the day of regret when all matters will be settled, while they are engrossed in heedlessness and disbelief. Indeed, it is we who will succeed the earth and whoever is on it, and to us they will all be returned. Abraham and his father Azar. And mentioned in the book the story of Abraham. He was surely a man of truth and a prophet. Remember when he said to his father, O dear father, why do you worship what can neither hear nor see, nor benefit you at all? O dear father, I have certainly received some knowledge which you have not received. So follow me, and I will guide you to the straight path. O dear father, do not worship Satan. Surely Satan is ever rebellious against the most compassionate. O dear father, I truly fear that you will be I truly fear that you will be touched by a torment from the most compassionate and become Satan's companion in hell. Azar's angry response. He threatened, how dare you reject my idols, O Abraham? If you do not desist, I will certainly stone you to death. So be gone from me for a long time. Abraham responded, peace be upon you. I will pray to my Lord for your forgiveness. He has truly been most gracious to me. As I distance myself from all of you and from whatever you invoke besides Allah, I will continue to call upon my Lord alone, trusting that I will never be disappointed in invoking my Lord. Asa an la akuna bidu'ai rabbi shaqiyya. He says something very similar to Zakaria alayhi salam. Perhaps I won't, be disappointed uh, in invoking my Lord. Zakaria alayhi salam says the exact same, similar words. So after he had left them and what they worshipped besides Allah, we granted him Isaac and Jacob and made each of them a prophet. We showered them with our mercy and blessed them with honorable mention.
This part was the Sadiq when he says, he responds with peace. In another part of the Quran where it says, وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And when the ignorant address them, they say salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam responds with salam to another, I guess, show of ignorancy, unfortunately. Keeping up the tradition of the Quran where it's mentioned elsewhere.
Yeah. And this is where he promises to make dua for him, to seek istighfar, repentance on behalf of his father. And in Surah Tawbah it mentioned that Ibrahim only sought forgiveness for his relatives because due to a promise, because he had a very soft and tender heart. Okay. Prophet Moses. And mentioned in the book, O Prophet, the story of Moses, he was truly a chosen man and was a messenger and a prophet. So he, messenger and prophet, word are being used. Rasul and Nabiyya. We called him from the right side of Mount Tur and drew him near, speaking with him directly. And we appointed for him out of our grace his brother Aaron as a prophet. Prophet Ishmael. And mentioned in the book, O Prophet, the story of Ishmael. He was truly a man of his word and was a messenger and a prophet. He used to urge his people to pray and give alms tax, and his Lord was well pleased with him. He used to urge his people to pray, and he ever enjoined his kin to perform the prayer and give the due alms. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ أَهْلَهُ. Normally that has understandings of family. So Quran beheld says his kin, his family, but Khatab says his people. Could be both. Allah Alam. وَكَانَ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ مَرْضِيًّا. Prophet Idris, Enoch. And mentioned in the book, O Prophet, the story of Enoch. He was surely a man of truth and a prophet, and we elevated him to an honorable status. There's also this belief that Idris alayhi salam was also taken up. I think he might have mentioned that in 577. If you want to click on it. It's said to be the fourth heaven.
So Sadiq, I don't think we've mentioned it before, but just the difference between a prophet and a messenger, because we're seeing the messenger being used, prophet being used. Do you want to mention that?
I mean, normally, go ahead. You can mention Ustad.
Like, messengers are the one who are given law, right? Sharia, and the prophets usually follow the previous messengers' Sharia. So Rasul is a messenger and the prophet is a Nabi. I guess if there's anything you want to add to that.
This is the general understanding that like Musa alayhi salam was the Rasul, whereas Harun was like a prophet aiding the Rasul. But sometimes, I don't know if that always applies with every time the Quran uses it. No. Noble prophets. Those were some of the prophets who Allah has blessed from among the descendants of Adam. and of those we carried with Noah in the ark, and of the descendants of Abraham and Israel, and those we rightly guided and chose. Whenever the revelations of the Most Compassionate were recited to them, they fell down prostrating and weeping.
It's another sajda verse, Ustaz Sadiq, right? We should, I mean, those who are listening as well, we'll do ours later perhaps.
Is it? Yeah. Well, technically, to be very clear, when we read the translation, we don't have to prostrate. It's more because we're also following the Arabic. Our eyes are following it. That's right, right, Ustaz Ahmed?
I mean, I'm trying to, yeah.
Yeah. So did you want to do the sajda?
Is it time yet?
It's 7:02. I think the sound's already gone up, right?
Yeah, we could, inshallah. 7:03.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do it later then.
Okay, inshallah.
Okay.
Did you finish the Raf, Ustaz Sadiq? Go on.
I read the prostrating verse, yes.
Okay.
All these prophets, Allah chose them and He guided them. Hadaina wajtabaina. Guided them, and wajtabaina, that sort of indicates selected them for prophethood. But they're obviously the epitomes of humanity and taqwa. Whenever verses are recited to them, they fall down crying and prostrating. That's the real type of state that we should aim to try to. We should pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take us to those states. Evil successors. But they were succeeded by generations who neglected prayer and followed their lusts, and so will soon face the evil consequences. As for those who repent, believe, and do good, it is they who will be admitted into paradise, never being denied any reward. They will be in the gardens of eternity, promised in trust by the Most Compassionate to His servants. Surely His promise will be fulfilled. There they will never hear any idle talk, only greetings of peace. And there they will have their provisions morning and evening. That is paradise, which we will grant to whoever is devout among our servants. So the two things that makes people go astray from that high pinnacle state of prophethood is to abandon the prayer and to follow the desires and the lusts. The name of Allah subhanahu ar-Rahman is used very often in this surah. Slightly more it appears than in other surahs. Okay. Gabriel's response to the Prophet. We only descend by the command of your Lord. To him belongs whatever is before us and whatever is behind us, and everything in between, and your Lord is never forgetful. He is the Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything in between. So worship him alone and be steadfast in his worship. Do you know of anyone equal to him in his attributes? And every time Jibreel visited the Prophet, it was due to Allah sending him. He could not come out of his own command. There were times where the Prophet used to say, I've missed you, where have you been? His Khalil. And this is the type of response perhaps he received.
The tafsir says, yes,
sorry?
I was just going to say the tafsir says actually in this occasion that was the case. That was in Revelation for a while. So. You were saying?
No, I just continue reading.
Okay.
that denies the resurrection. Yet some people ask mockingly, after I die, will I really be raised to life again? Do such people not remember that we created them before when they were nothing? You know, the Quran always says if they were created the first time, the second creation is easier. Even if you've had an experience recently, I had one where you get some furniture and you're setting it up. Let's say you get a box from IKEA, 2 bookshelves. The first bookshelf is much harder to compare, and the second one becomes much easier. So for Allah subhanahu, they're both easy, but just keeping this in mind, if he's done it the first time out of nothing, the second time out of something, it's easier. By your Lord, O Prophet, we will surely gather them along with the devils and then set them around hell on their knees. Then we will certainly begin by dragging out of every group the ones most defiant to the most compassionate. And we truly know best who is most deserving of burning in it. There is none of you who will not pass over it. This is a decree your Lord must fulfill. Then we will deliver those who are devout, leaving the wrongdoers there on their knees. Some companions used to be very fearful of this verse. And I think the footnote will say whether it's pass over it or actually enter it.
Both believers and disbelievers will be made to cross the bridge. The believers will cross it safely, each at a different speed according to the strength of their faith, whereas the disbelievers and the hypocrites will plunge into the fire. Yeah.
Here in Quran beheld says, and not a single one of you but shall arrive to it. There's a bit of a difference of opinion. Do they arrive to it? Do they enter hellfire, everyone, or do they pass through it? We did Quranic nights, Ustaz Ahmed. I think you're remembering those ones.
I remember that verse. Yeah,
yeah, we had a discussion of this a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wurud, the word is wurud. وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Once Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar passed by a group of people and they were laughing. He goes, I don't know what you're laughing at. The Quran promises that you enter into hellfire, but there's no promise that you get out of it. So what are you laughing about? And he quotes this verse. Arrogant disbelievers. When our clear revelations are recited to them, the disbelievers ask the believers mockingly, which of the two of us is better in status and superior in assembly? Imagine, O Prophet, how many peoples we have destroyed before them, who are far better in luxury and splendor. Say, O Prophet, whoever is entrenched in misguidance, the most compassionate will allow them plenty of time until, behold, they face what they are threatened with, either the torment or the hour. Only then will they realize who is worse in position and inferior in manpower. Again, most compassionate, most Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman. Reward of the devout. And Allah increases in guidance those who are rightly guided. And the everlasting good deeds are far better with your Lord in reward and in outcome.
So Sadiq, if you like, I can take over, inshallah.
Come on.
Okay. A denial of resurrection. Have you seen, O Prophet, the one who rejects our revelations yet boasts, I will definitely be granted plenty of wealth and children if there's an afterlife. Has he looked into the unseen or taken a pledge from the most compassionate? Not at all. We certainly recorded whatever he claims and will increase his punishment extensively. And we will inherit what he boasts of, and he will come before us all by himself. It's interesting, like they deny hereafter, but then if there is one, just like in Surah Kaf as well, but I feel that it's the same mindset.
So denying the hereafter, sometimes the way the Quran refers to it, a bit more than different ways of denying kufr of the hereafter than we think. One is just to assume you're gonna, if something happens, you're gonna be in a safe place, not really fearing the hereafter. That's almost displayed as a type of not taking the hereafter seriously and hence denying it. Allahu Alam.
Believers and disbelievers on Judgment Day. They have taken other gods instead of Allah, seeking strength and protection through them. But no, those gods will deny their worship and turn against them. Do you, O Prophet, not see that we have sent the devils against the disbelievers, constantly inciting them? So do not be in haste against them, for indeed we are closely counting down their days. Watch for the day we will gather the righteous before the most compassionate as an honored delegation and drive the wicked to hell like a thirsty herd. None will have the right to intercede except those who have taken a covenant from the most compassionate. Again, most compassionate there. Allah's children, Hasha, they say, the most compassionate has offspring. You have certainly made an outrageous claim by which the heavens are about to burst, the earth to split apart, and the mountains to crumble to pieces, in protest of attributing children to the most compassionate. It does not befit the majesty of the most compassionate to have children. There is none in the heavens or the earth who will not return to the most compassionate in full submission. Indeed, he fully knows them and has counted them precisely, and each of them will return to him on the day of judgment alone, all alone.
Here, Mustafa Khattab says they have children, Hasha, Allah has, or but ittakhadha walada, ittakhadha rahmanu walada. Quran beheld translated as uh, has taken him offspring, has taken, you know, um, yeah, to take something up as. It's just a slight difference in the words of translation. But I really like this idea that the heavens are about to burst and the earth is about to split and the mountains are about to fall down due to what they're saying. Sometimes, because we've been made the Khalif on earth, we forget how heavy the responsibility is. But by statements like this, the universe is in a very spiritual, sensitive state, the heavens and the earth. They really get disturbed by the sins and the things that we say. But also, they probably also get a lot of joy from the good things that we say. Like if we do acts of worship and praise.
Believers love for one another. As for those who believe and do good, the most compassionate will certainly bless them with genuine love. The message.
It says it as he said, believers love for one another, but the verse is a bit more mutlaq. It doesn't say. I've heard people, scholars pray, "Da' wuddan baynana wa bayna nas." Allah give love to us. There's a hadith that when Allah subhanahu loves someone, He tells Jibreel, and then Jibreel loves him, and then Jibreel whispers it to the angels, and they love him, and then the angels finally whisper it into the hearts of men, and then human beings naturally sometimes love someone. It's all a reflection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala initially loving them. So he, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when, like I'm saying, it might be beyond believers as well. The verse doesn't say particularly. Like in terms of where they get the love from, obviously, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those who believe and do good deeds. But where the love comes from, it could be, Quran beheld says, the All Merciful shall put love for them in men's hearts. More generic. No.
Okay. The message of the Quran. Indeed, we have made this Quran easy in your own language, O Prophet, so with it you may give good news to the righteous and warn those who are contentious. Imagine how many peoples we have destroyed before them. Do you still see any of them or even hear from them the slightest sound?
Okay.
The word to hissu, right, Ustaz Sadiq, here, it's got a bit of a thing to, sound to it. Like this, this, not even the slightest sound. I mean, that's the, here, I guess, but yeah. All right. So Surah Taha. Since Moses alayhi salam and Adam alayhi salam are mentioned passingly in the previous surah, their stories are recounted here in great detail. This Meccan surah reassures the Prophet ﷺ that the truth always prevails even against the most tyrannical opposition in the form of Pharaoh, and that Allah is able to open even the hardest of hearts in the form of Pharaoh's magicians. Both the beginning and the end of the surah emphasize the divine nature of the Quran as a source of guidance and eternal bliss. Those who turn away from the Quranic reminder are warned of misery in this world and horrifying punishment on the Day of Judgment. The Prophet ﷺ is advised to seek comfort in patience and pray against pagan denial, which is detailed at the beginning of the next surah. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. Taha, we have not revealed the Quran to your Prophet to cause you distress, but as a reminder to those in awe of Allah. It is a revelation from the one who created the earth and the high heavens, the most compassionate who is established on the throne. To him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth and whatever is in between and whatever is underground. Whether you speak openly or not, he certainly knows what is secret and what is even more hidden. Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him. He has the most beautiful names. In the Umar series, I think that these were the verses that Umar radiallahu anh reads, right, when he walks on his sister and her husband. And then he goes and makes the shahada.
Yeah, it's narrated. It's the first pages of Taha that he reads. He gives shahada. What's interesting about that is Sayyidina Omar's personality is a bit similar to Sayyidina Musa's personality. So just like Sayyidina Musa, for the first time he hears Allah's speech, Sayyidina Omar there also, perhaps for the first time he really listens to the Quran. And both the same fitras get affected in the same way. Obviously one's a prophet, one's according to the words of the Prophet, almost like the character of the Prophet. No?
Moses' great encounter. There you go, he goes on to Musa alayhi salam. So has the story of Moses reached you, O Prophet? When he saw a fire, he said to his family, "Wait here, for I have spotted a fire. Perhaps I can bring you a torch from it or find some guidance at the fire." But when he approached it, he was called, "O Moses, it is truly I am your Lord. So take off your sandals, for you are in the sacred valley of Tuwa. I've chosen you, so listen to what is revealed. It is truly I am Allah. There is no God worthy of worship except me. So worship me alone and establish prayer for my remembrance. The hour is sure to come. My will is to keep it hidden so that every soul may be rewarded according to their efforts. So do not let those who disbelieve in it and follow their desires distract you from it, or you will be doomed."
"15 here. Verily the final moment impends. I almost conceal it entirely, that every soul may be requited what it strove." It's a bit hard to translate that. إن الساعة آتية أكاد أخفيها تجزى كل نفس بما تسعى. Now, you want me to read a bit, Ustaz Ahmed?
It's okay. I'm good to continue, inshallah. 2 signs for Moses. Allah added, "And what is that in your right hand, O Moses?" He replied, "It is my staff. I lean on it, and with it I beat down branches for my sheep and have other uses for it." Allah said, "Throw it down, O Moses." So he did. Then behold, it became a serpent slithering. Allah said, "Take it and have no fee. We will return it to its former state, and put your hand under your armpit. It will come out shining white, unblemished, as another sign, so that we may show you some of our greatest signs. Go to Pharaoh, for he has truly transgressed all bounds." Moses prays for help. Moses prayed, "My Lord, uplift my heart for me and make my task easy, and remove the impediment from my tongue so people may understand my speech, and grant me a helper from my family, Aaron, my brother. Strengthen me through him and let him share my task, so that we may glorify you much and remember you much, for truly you have always been overseeing us." Allah responded, "All that you requested has been granted, O Moses."
Maybe it's not appropriate to say this, but sometimes movie scenes really stick with us. The movie The Truman Show, when he finally meets the guy who puts him in the city, in that place. I don't know why this meeting of Musa alayhi salam with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds me of that a bit. He just realizes that Allah's always been there with him. Well, the thing is actually much before that, he has a very strong belief with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Musa alayhi salam. Before, when he goes to Madian as well, he makes dua, he helps those ladies. He's constantly praying and having tawakkul. It's not like they were totally ignorant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They used to believe in him, pray to him. But still, that scene reminds me of this somehow. May Allah forgive us for bringing such analogies.
Allah's favors to young Moses. "And surely we had shown you favor before when we inspired your mother with this. Put him into a chest, then put it into the river. The river will wash it ashore, and he will be taken by Pharaoh, an enemy of mine and his. And I blessed you with lovability from me, O Moses, so that you would be brought up under my watchful eye. Remember when your sister came along and proposed, 'Shall I direct you to someone who will nurse him?' So we reunited you with your mother, so that her heart would be put at ease and she would not grieve. Later you killed a man by mistake, but we saved you from sorrow as well as other tests we put you through. Then you stayed for a number of years among the people of Midian. Then you came here as a predestined, O Moses, and I have selected you for my service."
Very intimate, loving language between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Musa alayhi salam. Very, always, a lot of it's first person, isn't it? صنعتك لنفسي وألقيت عليك محبة مني ولتصنع على عيني. Great.
And I think also following from Surah Kaf, like those three incidents which were interesting. Like again in the outset, they look different to what the but and the unseen purpose was. I think we see a similar thing here as well with Musa alayhi salam.
Yeah.
He started experiencing them in his infancy. Musa alayhi salam.
Yeah. I mean,
All,
we read these praises for the prophets. Sometimes as Muslims, we always compare it to our Prophet ﷺ, and we're like, no, our Prophet has got the higher praises in the Quran. There's no doubt about that, but we shouldn't sometimes, we should appreciate and realize how much love and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving to these prophets.
orders to Moses and Aaron. Go forth, you and your brother, with my signs, and never falter in remembering me. Go, both of you, to Pharaoh, for he has truly transgressed all bounds. Speak to him gently, so perhaps he may be mindful of me or fearful of my punishment. They both pleaded, Our Lord, we fear that he may be quick to harm us or act tyrannically. Allah reassured them, Have no fear, I am with you, hearing and seeing. So go to him and say, Indeed, we are both messengers from your Lord, so let the children of Israel go with us and do not oppress them. We have come to you with a sign from your Lord, and salvation will be for whoever follows the right guidance. It has indeed been revealed to us that the punishment will be upon whoever denies the truth and turns away.
Even to a tyrant, when you're going to give dawah to a tyrant, you have to consider your language, your tone. You must be hopeful. Perhaps he might, turn and fear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're not hopeful in the people you preach to, then there's no point in you preaching to them. And it's not this, some people have this attitude, let me just go give them the message. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. They say, I don't have anything, I just have to convey it. But that's not the case. Allah's telling them, speak gently, perhaps he may. Allah knows in his eternal knowledge that Fir'aun was not going to take heed. But he's telling us that he ordered Moses alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam to speak softly to the Pharaoh, telling us that the uslub of da'wah.
And I think just to add to that, but you're also how you are to your state, your inner state. Like, go make dawah, but then don't falter in remembering me. So this personal practice, spiritual states, spiritual practices in making dawah, I think, are also very important too.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that actually. Where is that?
Just at the start. Go forth, you and your brother, with my signs, and never falter in remembering me.
Yeah, very true.
A scholar says, depending on your position, you should, like the higher your position gets, you should increase your dhikr, your dua, your spiritual practices accordingly. And that's what gives you strength. That's what this hadith. The Prophet says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in hadith Qudsi, I've become the hand with which he holds the eye with which he sees. Sometimes we forget, I think, where the real power lies and where the aid comes from. And we may abandon the real things that we need to do in return for causes, like that we need to abide by, unfortunately. So,
yeah, thanks for highlighting that. That was very nice.
Okay, should we? Where are we? So, should we finish maybe one or two more pages? I guess we're not going to finish the Jews.
Okay, let's read a bit.
Pharaoh's arrogance. Pharaoh asked, Who then is the Lord of you two, O Moses? He answered, Our Lord is the one who has given everything its distinctive form, then guided it. Pharaoh asked, And what about previous peoples? He replied, That knowledge is with my Lord in a record. My Lord neither falters nor forgets anything. He is the one who has laid out the earth for all of you and set in it pathways for you and sends down rain from the sky, causing various types of plants to grow. So eat and graze your cattle. Surely in this are signs for people of sound judgment. From the earth we created you, and into it we will return you, and from it we will bring you back again. The challenge. And we certainly showed Pharaoh all of our signs, but he denied them and refused to believe. He said, "Have you come to drive us out of our land with your magic, O Moses? We can surely meet you with similar magic. So set for us an appointment that neither of us will fail to keep in a central place." Moses said, "Your appointment is on the day of the festival, and let the people be gathered in mid-morning." Moses' warning. Pharaoh then withdrew, orchestrated his scheme, then returned. Moses warned the magicians, "Woe to you, do not fabricate a lie against Allah, or he will wipe you out with a torment. Whoever fabricates lies is bound to fail." So the magicians disputed the matter among themselves, conversing privately. They concluded, "These two are only magicians who want to drive you out of your land with their magic and do away with your most cherished traditions. So orchestrate your plan, then come forward in perfect ranks, and whoever prevails today will certainly be successful." Should we?
Maybe we can read 2-3 pages so we can.
Yeah. Okay, inshallah. Moses prevails. They said, "O Moses, either you cast or let us be the first to cast." Moses responded, "No, you go first." And suddenly their ropes and staffs appeared to him by their magic to be slithering. So Moses concealed fear within himself. We reassured him, "Do not fear, it is certainly you who will prevail. Cast what is in your right hand, and it will swallow up what they have made, for what they have made is no more than a magic trick. And magicians can never succeed wherever they go." Magicians become believers. So the magicians fell down in prostration, declaring, "We believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses." Pharaoh threatened, "How dare you believe in him before I give you permission? He must be your master who taught you magic. I will certainly cut off your hands and feet on opposite sides and crucify you on the trunks of palm trees. You will really see whose punishment is more severe and more lasting." They responded, "By the one who created us, we will never prefer you over the clear proofs that have come to us. So do whatever you want. Your authority only covers the fleeting life of this world. Indeed, we have believed in our Lord, so he may forgive our sins and that magic you have forced us to practice. And Allah is far superior in reward and more lasting in punishment." Should we finish off this page with Sadak? I think this last part finishes it off. "Whoever comes to their Lord as an evildoer will certainly have hell, where they can neither live nor die. But whoever comes to him as a believer, having done good, they will have the highest ranks, the gardens of eternity under which rivers flow, where they will stay forever. That is the reward of those who purify themselves."
Jazakallah khair.
Ameen, inshallah. Okay, so we'll end it here today. We have 4 pages left of this juz, inshallah. So see you all tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.